What is the definition of life according to science? I read there is no consensus on it. Death is defined as irreversible cessation of all functions of the brain. My question is, what keeps us alive and what dies when someone dies? Because according to the Bhagavad Gita, it's the divine soul that allows the functioning of the insentient matter, which we call body. And even for a layman, it sounds extremely commonsensical, maybe even, except maybe for militant atheists. Okay, there is no one definition of life according to science. If you look at it from the perspective of neuroscience, there is a certain definition. If you look at it from the perspective of biochemistry, there is a certain definition. If you look at it from the perspective of physics, of thermodynamics, there is a different perspective, a different definition. So the mainstream definition of life is more biochemical in nature. Life is seen as a biochemical process, which itself is problematic, because the biochemistry can stop for some time. And if it is, see, for instance, there have been instances of people who went into a coma, or went into a shock kind of state. Their heart stops, and their heart doesn't beat for like 15-20 minutes, and then they are successfully revived by shocking their heart or whatever, and then they are brought back to life. So if the definition is a biochemical definition, which would indicate that the heart would stop and various biochemical processes would stop, then the person would have died, would have been considered to be dead. And then when the heart restarts after 20 minutes and the consciousness comes back, does it mean that the person came back from death? Which is not quite true, right? So there are problems in all the various definitions of life, and the reason for that is that life is not a substance, it is a process. What exactly the process is, we don't quite know. We don't understand the body. We don't understand the body well at all. If you There is this guy, very famous guy, what's his name, Yuval Noah Harari. He says he says that the human body is nothing but a hackable machine. The human body is it's an animal that can be hacked. There is no such thing as the spirit or the soul. It's all just a set of systems that can be hacked. That's what he says. So I don't agree with this sort of definition. The human body is not a machine with a set of systems that are interconnected. Lots of scientists have such perspectives. Lots of scientists have very different perspectives, but those perspectives now become mainstream. See, in the West today, you have this commercialization. There is this reduction of the human being to a commodity. You are just one. You are you are simply part of the big market, and they want to commodify everything. Even the pharmaceutical industry is commodified. Even healthcare is commodified. So they want to hack human beings. They want to reduce human beings to mere numbers and commodities. And in that system, uh, the idea of the spirit and the soul is very problematic, because then you have to treat human beings and all life differently, not just as numbers and commodities. The problem is that from the perspective of science, there is no definition of life. There is no definition of soul. There is no definition of spirit. So now, when we talk about the Bhagavad Gita, we are no longer talking about science. So we have to understand this very correct, very carefully. That science is about. I have said this many times. Let me repeat it. Science is about physical. Uh, what is science about? Science is about physical objects and observable and measurable phenomena. Spirituality is about non-physical objects also, and non-observable phenomena also. So when you talk about the soul and the spirit, we are no longer talking about science. We're talking about either philosophy or spirituality, right? So from the perspective of science, there is no definition of soul or spirit, because a soul or a spirit cannot be observed, it cannot be measured, right? So uh, so you have scientists who say that the human emotions are nothing but chemical reactions. I don't agree with that. It's as if we understand everything and that's all it is. We don't understand the brain. We don't understand the mind. We don't understand the body. We don't understand our genes. More than 95% of the genome is not understood at all. And they call it the dark matter of the genome. And yet people are trying to hack the human genome and do all the genetic engineering. They don't even understand what could happen, what could be the consequences. You understand less than 2% of the human genome, but you want to start hacking around. So that is the kind of approach that we have today. Without understanding things, we want to start modifying things, right? So the truth is, we understand almost next to nothing about our genome. We understand next to nothing about our neurochemistry, about the human brain, about the human mind. We don't know what consciousness is. We don't have a definition of consciousness. Is consciousness an emergent phenomenon that emerges out of the complexity of our brain? Or is it something else altogether? We don't know. We don't have the answer. We don't even have a proper definition of life. I mean, viruses, according to various definitions of life, viruses are half living, half dead. They do have DNA, they do reproduce, but they have some characteristics that are more consistent with the properties of crystals and non living objects than living objects. So, this is a complex field. Life doesn't have a clear definition. The consciousness itself, which does exist, we know it exists. So, it is something that does exist. It is not an unmeasurable phenomenon, it is an observable phenomenon. But we don't quite have a definition of that. And maybe the consciousness is what is connected to what is known in philosophy and spirituality and religion as the soul or the spirit. So we don't quite know. Our understanding of science is very rudimentary. It is very limited. There are plenty of scientists who like to who like to pretend like science can explain everything. Science cannot explain lots of things. It doesn't mean that science is wrong. It means that our level of intelligence is able to perceive only a certain amount of science, and the and that our understanding of science is very limited. It doesn't mean science is wrong. Maybe in the future science will be able to deal with things like consciousness and other such things as well. So that's what I can say. I don't know what keeps us alive, what dies when someone dies. We know, but no scientist has the answer. Our ancients, our philosophers, our great gurus, rishis, etc., did have the answers. Those answers can be found in our scriptures, in our Upanishads, in the Vedas, in the Bhagavad Gita, etc. But that cannot be brought into the realm of science because it is not science. The Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, these are spiritual and philosophical texts, civilizational and cultural texts. These are not scientific texts. So science is very limited in its scope, and science cannot explain what life and death are, what the spirit is, what the soul is, if it does exist, and what consciousness is, which does exist. So these are the significant limitations that science uh, is constrained by.